For another corporate conversation, India's tax regime is, of course, all set for a sea change as the GST, the goods and services tax sort of era unleashes in the country come the 1st of July. Is industry ready for a smooth transition? We've been getting a whole host of conversations on this, and joining us this morning is Mr. Sunil Duggal, CEO of Dabur. So let's start by talking about, your company, because it seems that in general, consumers, as far as hair oil is concerned, toothpaste is concerned, and even fruit juice, it's either beneficial or neutral. But particularly for Dabur, how much will you end up saving in terms of lower tax?
In oral care and in hair oils, we pay approximately 24%, 24 to 25%, and it'll come down to 18. So obviously, it means a saving of 3-4%, but the precise quantum of saving can only be ascertained once we know the input credits, etc., which will be applicable. So there will be some savings. We don't know exactly how much. We're working that out, and we'll know the answer in a couple of days. Juices is pretty flat. It was around 11 earlier. It is 12 now, so not much of a change. The only downside really is in Ayurvedic medicines, which came as a bit of a surprise. Today we are paying rates between 5 and 11, and this ramps up to 12. So we believe that the government should relook at this. Ayurvedic medicines are part of the government's agenda to promote indigenous medicine, and this would definitely mean that there would be increases in prices. So we would look to have some relief there.
Okay, what about excise benefits? Because you were enjoying certain benefits, geographical benefits, so they will not sort of no longer be available with the company, I imagine?
Well, we believe the excise benefits would be grandfathered, so there would be no implication in terms of the central GST. So I don't think there would be any difference. But we are still reading the fine print if there's anything which we have missed here. But as of now, we don't think so.
Okay. Sir, any ballpark figure on how much you could perhaps save on taxes?
We'll know only by, say, today or tomorrow. We're doing the fine print here. We're having a meeting later in the day, and I think we'll have a number. It won't be anything very significant. So I don't think it will have a material impact on our this year results because there would be some dislocation consequent to GST. So there will be some negative elements coming out too. So I don't think there would be any change in our outlook for the year.
Okay. So what about the non-tax gains? For instance, under GST, warehousing, logistics, all that is expected to get easier. So is there a possibility you could quantify the benefits under, at least for warehousing and logistics?
The network costs would go down. There's no doubt about that. Again, the impact is not very significant. I think the bigger impact will come because of the unorganized sector, which operated under the radar, was not compliant, may find it very difficult to sustain itself under the GST environment. So we may have the organized sector gaining at the expense of the unorganized. I think that is really the biggest gain. Also, there would be some logistic savings because the length of time the trucks take to reach destination would be definitely shortened by at least 30-40%. So there would be consequent savings on that. So I think it will streamline business, it will make the operating processes much smoother, but in terms of immediate financial impact, I think there's very little as of now.
Sir, what about disruption? Because it's quite clear that the government is, quite certain about going ahead with the July 1 deadline. So is industry ready? Are we going to see a lot of disruption in the next 2-3 months?
Destocking, of course, is one element which may happen. Even though we are still working out the implications of GST, whether destocking is at all required or whether the inventories can continue at current levels or perhaps even increase. So that's a detail which we are working out, and we'll be consulting our channel partners as to what they want. We obviously will not be pushing anything down their throat. So if they want to destock, we will not discourage that. But having said that, coming back to your earlier question, the impact would be perhaps from June till, I would say, August. So these are the 3 months where there would be some disruption, hopefully not serious, but certainly there will be unsettled trade, which will be recalibrating its whole business model and trying to adjust to the new realities.
So, sir, what sort of disruption should we be ready for? If you could just explain that to us. Are we talking about excessive inventory? Are we talking about some sort of dumping of goods, stoppage of production? What should we brace ourselves for?
I think there would be destocking rather than upstocking, but may not be of a significant nature. I don't think it will be easy to dump, because if you dump goods, then there will be assurance that you pick up any damages which are consequent to the dumping process. We certainly will not go in for dumping. We will be very consultative with our channel partners in terms of what they want, and we will stock only to the level they want and not force them to take anything more. And if they want to destock, so be it. We'll keep the inventories in our own warehouses to restock at short notice.
Okay, so we should definitely expect disruption for the June to September quarter, that's Q1 FY18. Thereafter, would the recovery take place? Because October to December is a key period for a company like Dabur, given it's the festive period. So should normalcy return back by then?
June to August, I think, yeah. So therefore, it's important that GST comes into play from 1st of July. Because the June to September or June to August is really the softest period of the whole year. So whatever disruption happens, it's better it happens in this period of time. So then we kick in the festive season, which begins around end of September. Diwali is early this year, remember that. The trade is then rebalanced and the business goes on as usual. So I would hope that by September things are back to normal, and then we have a great second half of the year.
Okay. So the other worry in the market is, I'm not talking about Dabur in particular, I'm just saying for the industry per se, is that perhaps the supply chain is still not ready for the transition to GST, and that could also hurt in the near term. For Dabur in particular, if you could tell us, is your supply chain ready?
Not entire chain. I think we are ready. Most of our large suppliers are ready. There are a few small suppliers which I think should be ready by the end of June. Downstream trade is the larger problem. The distributors are ready, of course, but the wholesale and the retail, particularly the wholesale, is still, standing on the, on the fence and trying to see which way they should move, how should they change their entire operating processes, how they should change their business models. So I think the readiness will really happen after GST kicks in. And then when the understanding dawns that this is what their business model should be, then they will adjust to that. So therefore, I think July and August are going to be the most challenging months, because that's when they will be adjusting to the new situation.
Sir, anti-profiteering is a big word in North Block. I just want to understand, have you taken any price increases of late, and will you have to roll that back given the fact that the actual GST rates are lower than your current effective tax rate?
We didn't take any price increase of significance. There was some here and there, because entirely on the back of inflationary costs, but nothing of significance. So we don't think there should be any rollback consequent to anti-profiteering or any such legislation.
What about demand, sir? How is that shaping up as you're looking at this year? And will this 2 months of disruption sort of, disrupt your calculations with respect to demand growth?
I think the demand is picking up, but slowly. I think the demand will pick up much more rapidly if the monsoon is normal. I also don't think that GST will have any negative impact on demand, because the end demand will remain pretty constant. I don't think, especially since there's not likely to be any violent price movement upwards. So I'm pretty sanguine about the demand side. I think the trade issues are a little bit more challenging in the near term.
Okay, so one final question then, sir. Taking everything into consideration, what should be the volume growth we should expect in FY18?
I've indicated 5 to 10%, and I think this is erring on the side of being conservative. We could see double-digit volume growth, particularly in the second half of the year. But the first half of the year is likely to be comparatively soft.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for joining in. So that's Dabur expecting a 5 to 10% volume growth in